Salut à tous, c'est Clayme et je vous retrouve aujourd'hui pour un nouveau jeu qui se nomme The Stanley Parable, ou en français la parabole de Stanley. Alors, c'est un jeu assez particulier, je sais pas trop comment vous le résumer. J'ai juste joué à la démo, puis vu vite fait des gens jouer à la version alpha. Et c'est un jeu du mindfuck en fait, vous voyez là, le menu principal me montre un ordinateur avec le menu principal du jeu qui montre un ordinateur avec le menu principal du jeu, etc. 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 Je ne vais pas m'éterniser plus longtemps là-dessus, on va commencer à jouer tout de suite. Ne flippez pas au début, les sous-titres sont en anglais, mais après le jeu est en français. Je viens de passer 5 minutes à m'en assurer. C'est juste pas passé, enfin pas attendre trop. Bref, Stanley Parable.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Donc, en gros, nous sommes l'employé numéro 427 et on a travaillé des années dans cette entreprise où tout ce qu'on fait c'est appuyer sur des boutons. Enfin, le moniteur nous dit quoi faire, puis on appuie sur des boutons. Puis c'est tout ce qu'on fait de notre vie, puis on est content comme ça. Voilà, c'est tout.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Alors, tout ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que c'est un jeu avec beaucoup d'endings différents. Alors, on va voir ce qu'on va faire pour cette vidéo-là. Mais grosso modo, on se contente de suivre les ordres de la narration. Mais on n'est pas obligé de le faire. C'est pour ça que je vous dis que c'est un jeu à multiple ending. Je peux ouvrir aucune des portes. Je peux pas jouer avec les... What?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Eh, on peut toujours essayer, non? Non. Non. Ouais. Quand j'appuie vite fait sur le clic gauche, ça fait comme si je pianotais sur un clavier.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Bon allez, pour cette vidéo-là, je vais suivre ce que me dit la narration. Puis on va bien voir où ça nous mène. Hop, fuck. Belle image. Ok. C'est presque l'heure de la pause déjeuner, dis donc. On va même pas dehors.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Alors, je peux pas sauter. Ok. Qu'est-ce que les gens veulent? Des choses, de l'argent, plus d'argent. des trucs, mais avec de l'argent pour acheter plus de trucs. Des graphiques qui parlent de choses et de l'argent. Nous avons notre, nous avons notre nouveau produit. Alors, nous avons besoin de plus de revues. 402 plus 405 veulent se débarrasser des sports mortels, enfin de la portion des sports mortels dans la première revue du planning. Mais je pense que c'est une idée stupide. Plus de refroidisseur, de thermostat sûrement. Plus de chauffe. What? Plus de trucs pour chauffer les thermostats. Attends. Ça me saoule, ça me saoule. On va arrêter de lire des graphiques. On va jouer. Et on va jouer. Ah, la porte. Oh. Qu'est-ce qu'il y a là-dedans?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Sûr qu'il y a rien là-dedans?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Ok. Voilà.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
J'ai envie de descendre, mais on va monter. Moonwalk dans les escaliers. Oh. C'est par là? Ok, les toilettes du PDG. Les portes qui se ferment toutes seules, ça me stresse quand même. Ça s'ouvre pas.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Bien sûr que non. Donc du coup, on va pianoter là-dessus. Non. On va mettre la date de création de la chaîne, tiens.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs.
Mais
Trying to Stanley simply began entering random codes into the keypad, knowing full well the sheer statistical unlikelihood that this would ever result in a correct combination. If he knew that the combo was 2845, it would be another story in 2845.
Wow, ok, c'est écrit en rouge. On va pas contrarier le narrateur. Voilà.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Cool. Ok. Je peux pas tomber là? Non. Bon ben... Bip.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Uh-oh. Est-ce qu'on va découvrir
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Mais à la sortie là-bas. Mais... Ah, bon ok. On ne voit rien. Oh, la lumière. Bip.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
va y aller quand même. Hop là.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ouais mais... Ah mais du coup il y a vraiment personne alors dans le bâtiment là. What the fuck? Oh, attends, il est où mon numéro? C'est le 427. Ah, c'est celui-là. Ouais, mon bureau est vide. Ok. C'est bien, c'est du live. Sur Twitch, tout ça, tout ça.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
En tout cas, je veux pas dire, mais les sous-titres français ils sont mal foutus. Hein. Ça fait pas mal de fautes de grammaire et d'orthographe que je vois déjà.
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Bah, faut croire que oui, mon pauvre petit Stanley. Tu n'es qu'un petit mouton.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ouh. Et comment est-ce que je fais ça? J'appuie sur des boutons. Oh, gros bouton rouge. Ça, hein? Non? Non? Alors, source d'énergie du bâtiment. C'est bizarre, j'ai pas confiance. D'un coup. Qu'est-ce que ça fait ça? Bon. Te ferme pas, 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 te ferme pas. Te ferme pas.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Beep.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Ah non, je peux voir des trucs. Oh putain, j'ai peur.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
C'est bizarre, j'ai pas
For
confiance.
it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go.
J'ai peur de regarder derrière moi.
No longer would
Ok, c'est bon.
anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Ok.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yay! Bon, j'ai déjà fait un ending? J'ai déjà fait un ending. Oh. Oh. Oh.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah ok, c'est le jeu qui recommence, d'accord. Bon, on va faire un... On va faire des choix différents cette fois-ci. Alors...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok, non.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ouais. Non, ça marche pas. Ça marche pas. Ça marche pas. Ça marche pas. Mais putain.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Mais je veux une boisson.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Bah oui, c'est une très belle pièce. Puis je veux ma boisson.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
Hey, c'est pas gentil de dire ça, mec. Je suis pas narcissique, ok? Je veux juste une boisson.
Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Quel message essaies-tu de me faire passer, le jeu? Je comprends pas, voyons. Je suis juste là, à vouloir une boisson. À ramper par terre. À essayer de... Ok, c'est une page blanche. Ouais. À vouloir lire ces petits mugs. Qui a pété... Papa numéro 1. J'arrive pas à lire le... Oh, bon, c'est pas grave. Bon.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Oh. Oh, je suis déçu, les sous-titres là. Les sous-titres. Oh. Oh. Attendez, on va aller au fond de la pièce d'abord. Oh, c'est quoi ce bruit là?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
C'est quoi ces bruits? Pourquoi les portes se ferment toutes seules?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time.
Okay.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Comment ça, elle?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
What the fuck?
She's been waiting.
De qui est-ce qu'il parle? Il faut que je me gratte le nez. Parfait. What the fuck?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
What?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now,
427?
I want you to come in and tell me all about
Your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really
What the fuck? Je suis en train d'avancer tout seul. Non, je veux pas.
Sorry.
Oh
You're in my story
Oh putain!
now.
Oh putain! Oh putain! Oh putain! Oh putain! Oh putain!
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named
What the fuck?
Stanley.
Non. 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 Oh what the fuck? Je peux rien faire d'autre. Vous êtes sérieux? Vous êtes sérieux? Eh merde. Ok. Ok. Ok.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Putain. What the fuck?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home.
Ok, là je suis en train de stresser là.
He's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Ok, je suis vraiment en train de stresser là. Je crois que le narrateur veut me tuer. Je crois que le
But
narrateur
in
veut
his
me tuer.
mind, in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Quoi?
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
What the fuck?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe, putain?
As he wandered through
Whoa.
this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Ok.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
C'est elle mon épouse? Non, je veux pas lui dire je t'aime. Putain, je suis obligé de... Bordel de...
But there is no
Oh!
answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ok, j'appuierai pas sur le bouton. Quoique. Attendez, est-ce que je dois le faire ou est-ce que je dois pas le faire? Est-ce que je dois le faire ou est-ce que je dois pas le faire? Merde, je veux pas être un pantin. Mais, je peux rien faire d'autre. Putain. Bon.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself?
Mais j'essaie de
How can
sortir
I
depuis
get
tout à
him to
l'heure.
see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Mais putain. Non.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley.
Putain.
We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this
Oh merde.
time.
Oh merde. Oh merde.
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
What the fuck?
Bonkers.
J'espère que cette vidéo vous a plu. Si c'est le cas, n'oubliez pas de laisser un j'aime et de vous abonner à la chaîne si ce n'est pas encore fait. Faites-moi part de vos remarques dans les commentaires et n'oubliez pas de me suivre sur Facebook et Twitter. Peace!